Hello, David Griffin here alongside Coach Randy Jackson, and joining me today is Tanner Ramsey on the Pirate Talk this week, brought to you by Community Life Church. And Coach Jackson, I guess the big 800-pound gorilla in the room is the loss to Highland Park, man. How have you dealt with that over the last few days?
Well, it hadn't been easy, really. We always give ourselves 24 hours either to celebrate or get over something, and with us having school the next day probably helped. And we kind of watched the film and watched the tape. And
I gave you 48 hours. I sent you a text and told you got 48
Yes, sir.
hours.
We try not to give ourselves that long, but with Creekview coming up, that helps. But it's one of those deals where a very disappointing loss. But the main thing is not to let them beat us twice.
That's exactly. Yeah.
We just have to get over it, and we can't let it affect us. And honestly, we did not have the greatest practice yesterday, and it affected us longer than it needs to, and hopefully we're going to get it fixed.
Right. And so, of course, one of the things in any time this happens is that if you keep playing hard, you keep working, and Highland Park plays hard, you get another bite at the apple.
That's right. You just never know, and all we need to do is just control what we can control today.
That's right.
And, again, we've got great leadership. Our chemistry is good. We're going to be fine, but it's just one of those weird deals that when you coach long enough, you're going to win some you shouldn't win, and we lost one the other night we should not have lost.
And Tanner, that Highland Park game had to be incredibly disappointing for you, obviously being a senior. What is it that you take away from that ball game, and what is it that you're trying to, as a senior, communicate to the younger guys?
Well, first, we can't get satisfied because I think a lot of people thought we had to win, and we shouldn't have thought that. And I think that being a senior, I got to make sure that they stay humble during the game, so we don't get we just don't think we won the game as fast. Right.
So now for just a second, you talk about that, and you want to make sure that you don't get complacent or whatever. What is it that as you look back over that game, how many times do you replay the game in your mind?
Every day, every hour.
Right. Now, at what point do you feel like, as Coach mentioned a moment ago, or you feel like you're going to be able to drop that and to kind of really focus on what's happening?
As a senior, I think that it was over for me in the 24-hour period.
Okay.
I have to make sure that I'm ready to go and everybody else is ready to go because we can't lose 2 in a row.
And Tanner's one of those kids that he was here last year. He was a part of it. Last year we lost a heartbreaker to West Mesquite by 1 point, and we followed it up with a 1-point loss at Lancaster that we should not have lost. So he gets it. He gets it. He had a good practice yesterday, and he's one of those kids that will help drive this team. And as the head coach and as him being a senior captain, we just have to help make sure that we get over it and we play good Pirate football. We played a good game last Thursday.
You absolutely played a good game, and quite frankly, I don't know that you can say this, but I can say it. I was standing on the sidelines, and there's no question that the better team that night did not win that ball game. And everyone that watched it, and I'm sure that all the Highland Park fans would agree with us on that, is that Highland Park just made a couple of plays there towards the end. Talk about that for just a moment and what it is that your team can take away, maybe even learn from Highland Park in that scenario.
Well, one thing we've talked to the kids about is at the very end of the game, they definitely came out still believing because really we had them. We had them. They had 2 first downs in the second half, and that's one reason the decision I made was I didn't think they could go 80 yards, and when their offense came on the field, they definitely still believed, and they got it done. And so, they've won 800 games or whatever they've won. They've won more games in the history of high school football than anybody for a reason, and they fought to the bitter end, and they didn't say uncle, and so it's a great lesson for us, and we're still getting there. Our program is on the rise, and again, I couldn't be more proud of our kids. I know more about our team after the game than I did before the game. But, again, it's just a lesson.
Which is getting ready for the real season is the playoffs. And that's one of the things that Highland Park understands, the South Lake Carols of the world understand and whatever, is that really there's the preseason and then the preseason that gets you into the playoffs and then the real season begins. And that's one of the things you're trying to establish at Poteet, I know.
Exactly. And last year I kind of think we took it for granted we were going to get in.
Yeah.
And so this year we cannot. And,
that's right.
And we've got to put our hard hat back on and punch the clock and go to work this Thursday against Creekview.
So Tanner, thinking about the game and what Coach just said, what is it that you want these guys to understand about winning the rest of the season and making it to the playoffs? What do you want to communicate, both to yourself and remind yourself of and others?
We got to understand that our season's not over and that one loss it's not good, but it's something that we can learn from and get ready for the season, the playoffs, and just get ready. And
well, I noticed this week, it seemed to me that basically you guys can play with anybody. I really didn't know that. Only seeing things on film and things up to that point, but you guys can play with anybody. Do you think the team's aware of that now?
Yes, sir. We are well aware of that. And
right.
I think we have been aware of that. It got away from us. And
yeah. You're going to get back to it this week?
Yes, sir.
So, Coach, coming back this week, though, and kind of getting back to reality, letting some of that go, calling your defensive coordinator and telling the offense was perfect. No, just kidding. This week, though, getting ready for Creekview, and obviously, as the defense does get ready, they got a couple of fine players in their quarterback, David Bloff. He's a senior, and Dylan Cottrell, also a senior, the wide receiver. Tell me a little bit about the squad and what we can expect to see on the field.
Well, Creekview is senior laden, big school. They have over 2,000 students. They just dropped down from 5A. Their best player on their team is number 10, David Blah, and I call him Johnny Football for all of our A&M coaches here. They, they don't really see that, but anyway, he's that kind of guy, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a runner and a passer. You can just tell. I've seen him play in person twice. He's their leader. He's somebody we're gonna have to stop, and probably their other best offensive player is number 17,
Kittrell.
And Dylan Kittrell. He's a very good player. He's got 453 yards receiving, I think, 9 touchdowns. So he's a stud, and they're 50-50 run pass kind of, and they'll get under center some, they'll be in gun some, so they're multiple. But Blah is probably the best kid on their offense.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, you've got to be looking out, and I know this guy's got to be looking out for Jordan Peeler, and looking out for him as he is that headhunter rover out there.
Yeah, he's that kid that. Again, when you go to a game in person, you can just see so much, But he's a kid with high energy, and again, if they have a captain of the defense, just me watching them, then it'd be 21 the DB, and they're 3-4 defense like we see almost every week, and they fly around and all that. But it'll be a real challenge, and we just gotta execute, and we've got plenty of weapons, and we got to use them all.
So, Tanner, let's see. This is your test, okay? We're going to try your test, see how ready prepared you are for this game. Coach has mentioned Creekview. How are you guys going to attack them offensively? What do you expect to happen as already knowing, being a coach on the field?
Well, they run a lot of man, so, we have athletes all over the field. So we got to attack the middle of the field and the outsides, because we got really good outside receivers that are fast and can catch the ball well. And I think our run game will be really good this week, just with running the 3-4, and their outside backers are run players, but...
So you think you can outflank them as well,
yes,
to get to the outside, whether it be in the air or on the ground?
Yes, sir.
So rate him. How did he do? Is that right? How are you going to attack him?
Well, we try to have a few secrets in our pocket. But, Tanner's got a good grasp of the game plan, and but yeah, basically what we're a take what you give us kind of offense, and if we're having success running the ball, we're going to keep running it, and if we can exploit them throwing the ball, then of course we'll do that. I think our defense is playing as good as anybody in 4A Metroplex football. We held Highland Park to their season low last week. We've been good defensively all year, and when you're good defensively, it just gives you such a chance for us to use our weapons offensively and rely on guys like Tanner. And we just have to play an all-around football game and get back on the winning track.
Well, Coach, thank you so very much. And Tanner, man, thank you for taking the time to visit with us.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for listening to Pirate Talk this week. We'll see you next week.